Most of them are things you've bought hundreds of times and almost never bothered to check the price. That's exactly what makes them worth paying attention to. If each item goes up by just a few dollars or quietly comes with less product inside the package, an average family could end up spending hundreds of extra dollars a year while still thinking they're buying the same things. Not because you're buying more, but because the changes happen so slowly that most of us never notice them. A shorter roll, a lighter box, a smaller bottle, or a new price that gradually starts to feel normal. And those everyday items are often the ones that make the biggest difference in a family's grocery bill. Because sometimes the biggest savings don't come from the most expensive item, but from the one you keep putting in your cart without ever looking at the price. 12. Toilet paper. There is one item in the house that no one pays attention to until there is exactly one roll left. Toilet paper. No one walks into Costco excited to look for it. It just sits quietly at the bottom of the cart, next to the laundry detergent and trash bags, then shows up on the receipt without most people remembering how much they just paid for it. That is exactly why it can cost us the most money. Before the pandemic, many popular 24-roll packs of toilet paper usually cost around $14 to $16. By the peak period of 2022 to 2023, many places were selling them for $22 to $26. If $48 used to be enough to buy about 3 packs, then during the high price period, that same amount sometimes only got you 2 packs. You are not buying more. You are just getting less for the same amount of money. But rising prices are only half the story. Many people have held 2 packages that looked almost the same size without realizing that the sheet count, roll length, or price per 100 sheets had changed. The package says Mega Roll in bigger, more eye-catching letters. But the most important detail is in the small print underneath. That is shrinkflation. The feeling that everything is still the same, while the real value is quietly going down. Toilet paper is not expensive because it is rare. It is expensive because almost everything behind it costs more. Wood, energy, factories, transportation, and warehousing. It is even one of the most costly items to move because trucks have to carry a lot of air rolled into large packs. A friend of mine once told me that he could remember the exact price of a pound of ground beef, but he couldn't remember how much he paid the last time he bought toilet paper. And that's exactly how inflation works with the most familiar everyday items. It doesn't shock you in a single shopping trip. It just quietly shows up on this month's receipt, then adds a little more the next month. If each pack goes up by just a few dollars, it doesn't sound like a big deal. But when you add paper towels, trash bags, laundry detergent, toothpaste, and dozens of other household essentials, those small increases can turn into dozens of extra dollars a year without many families even noticing. So if you see a reasonable price before July 1st, consider picking up an extra 24-roll or 30-roll pack. Not to panic buy, but to shop when you still have a choice instead of when you have no option but to buy. Check the price per roll or per square foot and store it in a dry place. A pack of toilet paper can sit in a closet for months with virtually no loss in quality. Does your family usually buy toilet paper ahead of time? Or do you wait until there are only a few rolls left before making a trip to the store? Share your answer in the comments. Because sometimes the way we buy a simple pack of toilet paper reflects how each family deals with inflation every single day. And if toilet paper is something you only think about when you're almost out, the next item is even a little more concerning because it disappears right before your eyes, one sheet at a time. 11. Aluminum foil. On some evenings in an American kitchen, the thing that saves the whole meal is not an expensive appliance. Sometimes it is just a sheet of aluminum foil. A tray of roasted chicken needs to be covered so it does not dry out. A few potatoes need to stay warm for another 20 minutes because the kids or grandkids have not made it home yet. A leftover portion of lasagna needs to be wrapped up for lunch the next day. Aluminum foil does not instantly make food taste better, but it helps keep a meal from being ruined at the very last minute. That is what makes this item different. Aluminum foil is not just a kitchen supply. It is a tool for holding heat, keeping moisture in, reducing the need to wash pans, and saving food that might otherwise be thrown away. For families that often cook in larger batches to eat over several days, a roll of aluminum foil almost becomes part of the meal prep plan. But in the past few years, that small item is no longer as cheap as it used to be. Many 75 to 100 square foot rolls of aluminum foil used to commonly sit around $3 to $5. Today, heavy-duty or non-stick versions can run about $6 to $9. On some store shelves, what used to be a familiar $4 item has turned into an $8 item. The reason comes down to aluminum. Aluminum takes a lot of electricity to smelt and roll thin. When energy, transportation, and packaging costs rise, aluminum foil gets pulled up pretty quickly. But when you buy it, do not just look at the price on the box. Look at the number of square feet. A $6 roll can be more expensive than an $8 roll if it is much shorter. Words like heavy-duty, non-stick, or value size sound good, but the price per square foot is the number you can really trust. I realized this one weekend while grilling. The tray of roasted vegetables had just come out of the oven, the chicken was still hot, and I pulled out the aluminum foil to wrap up the leftovers. The roll ran out much faster than expected. I looked back at the box. The lettering was still big, the packaging still looked great, but the total square footage was smaller than the previous roll. I was not using more. I was simply buying less while thinking I was getting the same amount. If your family regularly grills, meal preps, or saves leftovers for the next day, consider picking up 1 or 2 extra rolls when the price is good. Choose the right type for the job. Regular foil for light wrapping and heavy-duty foil for roasting and freezer storage. Store it in a dry place and keep it away from the sink so the box stays sturdy and the cutting edge does not get damaged. A roll of aluminum foil is rarely remembered when you buy it, but it is almost always the first thing you reach for when you need to save a meal. 10. Paper towels. There is one item in the kitchen that disappears faster than almost anything else. Not eggs, not milk, not coffee. Paper towels. They sit on the counter next to the sink or close to the stove. 1 sheet to dry your hands. 1 sheet to soak up bacon grease. 2 sheets to wipe up spilled sauce. A few more to wrap freshly washed vegetables. And then 1 more. Simply because your hands are wet and the roll is right there. That is why paper towels cost more than most people realize. No one uses them like an expensive product. We use them almost without thinking. A 6-roll pack of paper towels from popular brands often sits around $7 to $9 at many major supermarkets, depending on the promotion. During the period when paper, packaging, and transportation costs rose sharply, many similar packs climbed to $12 to $16, especially select-a-size double-roll or mega-roll versions. Some families were not using any more than before, but they were still paying almost twice as much for the same daily habit of pulling off paper towels. The problem starts with pulp, then pulls in electricity, water, heat, cardboard cores, plastic packaging, warehousing, and transportation. Paper towels are also bulky, taking up a lot of shelf space and truck space, so when logistics costs rise, their price is very easy to push higher. And there is one more detail worth paying close attention to: the packaging. A pack may say mega roll, triple size, or more absorbent. It sounds like a good deal. But if you do not look at the number of sheets, the total square footage, or the price per 100 sheets. It is very easy to be fooled by the feeling that it is bigger. I noticed this most clearly during a summer BBQ. Kids were running around the backyard. Burgers had just come off the grill. Barbecue sauce was stuck to the table. Someone spilled a glass of iced tea. Someone else grabbed paper towels to line a plate of fries. Just a few hours later, a nearly new roll felt much lighter. No one felt like they were spending money. Everyone was just enjoying a very normal weekend afternoon. If your family often cooks, has grandchildren over, owns pets, or hosts BBQs, this is an item worth buying before July 1st when you find a good price. Do not just look at the number of rolls. Compare the price per 100 sheets or per square foot. Large packs are often a better deal if you have space to store them. Keep them in a dry place so the paper does not absorb moisture and lose its strength. Paper towels do not disappear because of one moment of overuse. They disappear because each person pulls just one extra sheet, and the whole family does that all year long. But not every kitchen item disappears as quickly as paper towels. Some items sit quietly in a drawer and only become a lifesaver when a meal runs into trouble. 9. Plastic wrap. There is a very common habit in many American families on Sunday night. They spend about 1 hour preparing food for the whole week. A few containers of salad, some pre-cut fruit, the roasted chicken left from dinner, and a few sandwiches for the next day. In the end, everything is covered with a layer of clear plastic wrap before being put into the refrigerator. That thin layer of plastic is almost invisible, but it quietly protects both the meal and the money you spent on food. In the past, many 200 to 300 square foot rolls of plastic wrap were often only around $4 to $6. Today, it is not hard to see many similar products priced at $7 to $10, especially stretch or premium types. An item that once belonged to the just grab one category has now nearly doubled in quite a few stores. But rising prices are only one part. The rest is shrinkflation. 2 boxes of plastic wrap can look almost identical. The same colors, the same words, easy tear, the same picture of fresh vegetables on the packaging. But one box may be 300 square feet long, while the other is only 225. If you only look at the shelf price, you can very easily think you are buying cheap. But what you actually need to look at is the price per square foot. The cause lies in plastic. Most plastic wrap is made from materials that come from petroleum and natural gas. When energy, petrochemicals, transportation, and packaging prices rise, a small roll of plastic wrap is pulled along too. You are not just paying for plastic. You are paying for petroleum, natural gas, the paper box, the truck, and the part of the food it helps you not have to throw away. I realized this when cleaning out the refrigerator after dinner. Half a watermelon, a little chicken left, a bowl of salad not finished. I pulled out the plastic wrap, but the new roll was lighter than the old roll. The box still said easy tear. The lettering was still nice, but the square footage was smaller and the price was higher. The feeling at that moment was very clear. I was not buying anything special, and yet even the plastic layer used to keep food had become more expensive. If your family often prepares meals ahead, keeps leftovers, or buys food in bulk packs, this is an item worth buying extra when you find a good price. No need to gather a lot, just 1 or 2 long rolls, prioritizing the low price per square foot. Store it in a dry place, away from a hot stove or direct sunlight, so the wrap does not lose its cling. Plastic wrap does not make the bill surge in one purchase, but it is the thing that helps the remaining food not turn into trash the next day. And at a time when food prices are still high, keeping one meal sometimes is also saving a real amount of money. Do you usually use plastic wrap to keep leftovers or let the refrigerator handle it on its own? 8. Zipper bags. There is a very familiar scene on Sunday night in many American households. On the kitchen table, there is roasted chicken, rice, pre-cut fruit, and a stack of zipper bags sitting open, waiting to be used. Each bag holds one exact portion, gets dated with a marker, and is neatly placed in the freezer. That is not the habit of people who love stockpiling. It is how many families save time and money for the whole week. A bulk pack of strawberries can be divided into several smaller bags. Ground beef bought at Costco can be split into 1-pound portions before freezing. Leftover bread can also be sealed tightly to keep it from drying out and getting freezer burn. I once saw a family thaw an entire large pack of meat for dinner, but only use half of it. The rest sat in the fridge for a few days and had to be thrown away. After that, they started dividing meat into smaller bags right after buying it. On a busy evening, they only had to take out one exact bag, with no more thawing too much and regretting it later. Today, many types have climbed to $7 to $10, especially freezer or double zipper versions. But a good bag can sometimes be cheaper than a cheap bag. If it seals better, handles freezing better, and can be washed and reused a few times, the real cost per use may actually be lower. If you see a large box at a good price, prioritize freezer bags with a double zipper and compare the price per bag instead of the price on the box. Use gallon size for meat, frozen vegetables, or bread. Use sandwich size for fruit, nuts, snacks, and small portions. Zipper bags do not just hold food. They help you control portions, reduce waste, and take advantage of sales without worrying that the food will spoil before you can use it all. But no matter how well you save, every kitchen still has something that has to be thrown away. And that is when an item no one likes buying becomes more important than you think. Does your family usually use the right size trash bag? Or do you just grab a large bag for everything? 7. Trash bags. If someone had told me a year ago that trash bags would become one of the most important items to watch at the grocery store, I definitely would have laughed. But then I started paying attention. Trash bags are something no one wants to buy, no one shows off, and almost no one mentions when talking about inflation. But once you run out at the wrong time, the whole house immediately becomes uncomfortable. A weekend BBQ leaves behind paper plates, corn husks, paper towels covered in sauce, and meat packaging. One garage cleanout can create 3 full bags. A refrigerator that loses power for a few hours can be enough to make a family throw out spoiled food. At that point, trash bags are no longer a side item. They are what keep the house from falling into chaos. In the past few years, many boxes of large trash bags have gone from around $12 to $15 to $18 to $22, depending on the brand and material. Contractor or heavy-duty bags can cost even more. The reason comes from plastic, oil, transportation, packaging, and manufacturing costs. But what surprises many people is that the number of bags in the box can also change. The box still looks almost the same, but it may go from 90 bags down to 80 or 75. If you do not look at the price per bag, it is very easy to think you are still buying the same familiar item. A father in my neighborhood has one very simple rule. Do not use a large bag for small trash. Dry trash in the home office gets a small bag. Kitchen trash gets the large bag. Yard cleanup, leaves, or heavy items get the contractor type. It does not sound special, but that habit helps one box of trash bags last several weeks longer. That is the most practical money-saving tip. Choose the right size, the right thickness, and compare the price per bag instead of only looking at words like flex, strong, or extra large. A bag that is too thin can tear and make you use two. A bag that is too thick for light trash is just wasteful. Trash bags are something you never praise when you have enough, but you remember immediately when the last one is gone. 6. Laundry detergent. How much laundry does a family really wash in a week? If there are only 2 people, it may be 3 or 4 loads. But add 2 children, a few bath towels, weekend bed sheets, sports clothes, and the blanket from the family dog, and that number can easily climb to 6 or 8 loads. The washing machine is not as loud as a lawnmower or a vacuum cleaner. It just quietly runs week after week. And along with it, the bottle of laundry detergent quietly empties too. Many bottles of laundry detergent for about 100 loads used to cost $10 to $12 on sale. Today, many similar products have climbed to around $15 to $20, especially concentrated or large-size versions. But what surprises many people is that they do not actually get the full 100 loads listed on the package. A neighbor of mine always filled the cap because he thought more detergent meant cleaner clothes. After switching to the correct line on the cap, the same bottle of detergent lasted almost another month, and the clothes were still just as clean. That is why you should look at the price per load instead of the size of the bottle. The more laundry a family does, the faster a difference of a few cents per load can turn into dozens of dollars over a year. If your home has small children, pets, or frequent loads of towels and bed sheets, buy the large bottle when you find a promotion and use the correct amount. Not to save every drop of detergent, but so that every time you press the washing machine button, it does not quietly take more money than necessary. Laundry detergent is not expensive because of one purchase. It is expensive because the washing machine in your home can run hundreds of times a year. How many loads of laundry does your family do each week? 5. Dish soap. There is one very interesting detail in many American kitchens. The bottle of dish soap sitting next to the sink may have been there for years. The only thing that changes is the liquid inside. More and more families are not buying a new bottle every time. They simply buy a refill pouch and fill the old bottle again. The reason is not because of a green living trend. It is because the math is very simple. A small 18 to 24 ounce bottle often costs around $3 to $5. Meanwhile, a refill pouch or large 70 to 90 ounce bottle usually costs only a few dollars more, but contains several times more dish soap. When calculated per ounce, the refill option is often significantly cheaper. I once stood behind an older couple at Walmart. The husband was holding the familiar small bottle, while the wife smiled and pointed to the refill pouch on the lower shelf. Inside, it is all dish soap. We are paying for the bottle all over again. In the end, they bought the refill pouch. The old bottle stayed next to the sink like every day, while the large pouch was stored under the kitchen cabinet to refill it when needed. That is a very small change, but one that repeats dozens of times over the years. If your family cooks every day or often has guests over, try looking at the price per ounce instead of the price on the label. One large refill pouch can help save both money and the number of plastic bottles thrown away during the year. Sometimes, the smartest decision in the supermarket is not switching to a new brand. It is simply keeping the old bottle and filling it one more time. Do you still use bar soap at home, or have you completely switched to body wash? 4. Bar soap. There are some items in the house that our grandparents almost never let run out. Not because they were luxurious, but because they were simple, long-lasting, and truly useful. Bar soap is one of them. Before body wash came in dozens of cents, before plastic bottles became a familiar part of the bathroom, many families only needed a few bars of soap in the cabinet. 1 bar for washing hands, 1 bar in the bathroom, A few more bars stored dry in a drawer, used gradually over several months. That is not an outdated habit. That is a very practical kind of saving. A common 6 to 8 bar pack of soap often used to cost around $4 to $6. Today, many similar packs have climbed to about $7 to $10, especially sensitive skin types or long-established brands. But compared with many bottles of body wash, bar soap still has one advantage. You are not paying for too much water, plastic bottles, and package design. The reason for the price increase is not just the brand. Bar soap depends on vegetable oils, animal fats, glycerin, fragrance, paper packaging, factory energy, and transportation. When the prices of palm oil, coconut oil, cleaning chemicals, paper boxes, and operating costs rise, a small item like bar soap is not left out. It just rises more slowly and more quietly, so fewer people notice. I once opened my mother's bathroom drawer and saw a few bars of soap still neatly stored in their old paper wrappers. Nothing special, no expensive scent, no luxury label. But when needed, it was always there. One small bar can last for weeks if it is kept dry properly. For a large family, a few packs bought at the right price can replace quite a few bottles of body wash during the year. The most important tip is not to let soap sit in water. Use a draining soap dish, store unused bars in a dry place, and buy in packs when you find a good price. The drier the soap stays between uses, the longer it lasts. It sounds simple, but that is the difference between a bar that lasts 2 weeks and one that lasts almost a month. Bar soap is not outdated at all. It just does not need loud advertising to prove its value. And sometimes, the thing our grandparents always bought is exactly the thing most worth buying again when everything else is getting more expensive. 3. Toothpaste. No one looks at a tube of toothpaste as a major expense. It is small, light, and usually only a few dollars. But the whole family uses it every day. One person brushing twice a day is more than 700 times a year. A family of 4 is nearly 3,000 times. When you look at it that way, toothpaste is no longer a small item. It is a habit repeated all year long, so regularly that almost no one checks the price. Many popular tubes of toothpaste used to cost only around $2 to $3 on sale. Today, it is not hard to see many familiar types at $4 to $6, especially whitening, enamel repair, or sensitivity versions. A tube going up by $1 or $2 does not shock anyone. But if the whole family uses it all year, that increase starts to matter. What is worth noting is that very few people stand in the supermarket comparing toothpaste prices. They simply grab the familiar type, put it in the cart, and move on. That is exactly why the new price can so easily start to feel normal. I once stood in front of the toothpaste shelf and saw that almost every box promised something. Whiter teeth, stronger enamel, gentler care, longer-lasting fresh breath. At a glance, they looked the same. But when I looked closer, one tube was only 4 ounces, while another was 5.1 or 6 ounces. One type was cheaper on the price tag, but more expensive when calculated per ounce. That is the kind of difference you only notice if you stop for 10 more seconds. The reason for the price increase is also very clear. Toothpaste is not just paste in a tube. It is fluoride, mild abrasives, foaming agents, mint flavor, thickeners, multi-layer plastic tubes, paper boxes, printing ink, and transportation. When the costs of chemicals, plastic, packaging, and logistics rise, the small tube in the bathroom gets pulled along too. If you see the type your family uses regularly on sale, buying a few extra tubes makes sense. Toothpaste is easy to store, usually has a long expiration date, and does not take up much space. Just remember to compare the price per ounce, not just look at the words whitening or sensitivity. Toothpaste does not raise its price by shocking you. It raises its price by showing up regularly in your bathroom, every morning and every night. And that is exactly where small expenses easily become a fixed part of the family bill. How long does one tube of toothpaste usually last in your home? 2. Pet food. There is something quite special about American families. They may cancel a streaming service to save a few dollars a month. They may switch from their usual coffee brand to a cheaper one, or wait another year before buying a new phone. But very few people are willing to save money by cutting back on the meals of the dog that has slept beside them for 10 years. That is why pet food has become one of the fastest rising expenses, but also one of the hardest to cut. A popular 30-pound bag of dry pet food often used to cost between $25 and $35. Today, many similar products have climbed to $40 to over $50, especially grain-free, senior, or high-protein formulas. For families with 2 or 3 pets, that difference quickly turns into hundreds of dollars a year. What is interesting is that the price increase does not come only from meat. Pet food also depends on grains, vegetable oils, vitamins, minerals, multi-layer packaging, metal cans, energy, and transportation. When the entire supply chain becomes more expensive, the food bowl sitting under the dining table quietly changes too. I once stood in a supermarket and watched an older man carefully read each bag of dog food. He put down the cheaper one, then picked up the familiar one again. In the end, he still chose the exact brand his old dog had eaten for years. Maybe he did not want to change the one thing it still looked forward to every morning. That moment made me realize something. For many families, this is no longer just a grocery item. It is part of love. If your pet is used to a certain type of food and that product is on sale, buying one extra bag and storing it in a dry place is a reasonable choice. Not because you are worried about shortages, but because you know for sure you will still need it a few weeks or months from now. Americans can cut back on many things, but very few people cut back on the four-legged friend waiting for them behind the door every afternoon. And that is exactly what makes pet food one of the items worth preparing for ahead of time more than any number on the receipt. 1. AA/AAA batteries. One summer evening, a sudden storm unexpectedly knocked out power across the whole neighborhood. The TV shut off completely. The remote no longer worked. The flashlight in the drawer lit up for a few seconds and then turned off. The blood pressure monitor showed low battery. The wall clock stopped still. The young grandchild looked up and asked, "Grandpa, do we still have batteries?" That is when a small pack of batteries becomes the most important item in the house. A pack of popular brand AA or AAA alkaline batteries is usually around $5 to $7. Today, many similar packs are easily at $10 to $15, especially large packs or long-lasting battery lines. Prices increase not only because of metals or energy, but also because of production costs, transportation, and demand during storm season, winter, or local power outages. But the most important thing is not the price. Batteries are one of the few items you hope will sit still in the drawer for a very long time. You do not hope the TV remote runs out of battery. Do not hope the flashlight has to work. Do not hope the blood pressure monitor shows a low battery level. You only want that when you need to open the drawer. They are still there. A pack of batteries can sit still for many months, even many years if stored in a dry and cool place. That is also why so many families always buy one extra pack when they see a good price, instead of waiting until the first device stops working. Smart shoppers do not stockpile batteries out of fear. They only understand that there are items whose greatest value is not when they are bought, but at the exact moment they need to be used. If today's video helps you save a few dollars, avoid one rushed purchase, or look at your shopping cart a little more carefully, then that is already something valuable. Remember, peace of mind does not come from buying a lot. It comes from understanding what you are buying at the right time, and not letting small changes quietly get out of control. If you found this content helpful, give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. We will continue looking at very ordinary items that truly affect every family's budget. Because at a time when everything is rising little by little, the family that pays attention earlier is usually the family that gets surprised less.